and first we were just like talking about it and like kind of opening up about it because our album had like themes about polyamory and stuff, and we were like, is anyone gonna understand this?
Yeah.
To get started, you guys, you're musicians, you're also TikTokers. You guys have been blowing up on TikTok with a really fun account, the Poly Couple, where you guys kind of have this series going about your guys' relationships and the other people that fall in love with you two. So how did this all get started?
That's funny.
That's a good
I like that. I like that summary.
Yeah.
That's fun. We should
But
make that
it's
up,
about-
you know.
It's about us and people that fall in love
Other
with
people
us.
that fall in love with us. Well, yeah, so we are musicians, and we're actually we got signed to a label, and during the pandemic we started posting on TikTok like while we were like kind of prepping to like release our album, which we never ended up fully releasing. We released like some of it or whatever, but we just started like posting videos about our relationship. And first we were just like talking about it and like kind of opening up about it because our album had like themes about polyamory and stuff, and we were like, is anyone gonna understand this?
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
mainly it was because I had gotten out of a breakup like over the pandemic, and I was still like questioning, you know, things about it and like about polyamory, and because it was a second, like, well, at the time we called it like a secondary relationship because we were more hierarchical in the beginning. And so Daniel was like, nobody's on TikTok that we know. Like, why don't you go on there and talk to like the community and see if there's like a community there for polyamory?
And so how did you guys decide to start the channel and say, okay, let's make a fictionalized version? And is it fiction? Is it blended? Like, is it just you writing skits based on your own life? Or do you actually take like, you know, like, is there an apartment manager that's chasing you right now?
We started making skits, like trying it one thing at a time.
I think, and at first we sort of made fun of monogamy in our skits. But then we realized it was actually a girl Daniel was seeing for a minute who had this idea, who was like, why don't, instead of making fun of like, you know, the opposite of what you're doing, why don't you just show what you're doing just so people can see like just your like happy daily life kind of stuff?
Well, it felt bad. Like when we were making the skits that were kind of making fun of like toxic monogamy, like they were getting a lot of views, but like so much hate comments, and like it just felt like it wasn't really accomplishing anything. And then like when she was like, the girl I was seeing was like, why don't you just show what it's like being a poly couple? I was like, yeah, like a positive version of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then we made the cute like first episode where we're supporting each other, and
Which was a completely true story. So in the beginning, like a lot of the stories were like dead true.
Babe, what?
I just like had a moment with someone.
A moment? What do you mean?
Like I gave my number to the takeout girl.
God.
And then
We almost asked the people that
I would have never
I
gone
almost
through
asked.
with
I
that.
almost asked her
To be the
to
character.
be the character.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Has this become almost like a full-time job for you guys?
We're lucky to have been funded by the label. So they've been like helping us out. And even though we're not doing music anymore, like this kind of took off. But it made sense, like they know us, like we went, like we both came from film school, like film and acting school, so it kind of makes sense that we're like doing this again. And we were doing like music videos before, and then we just sort of transitioned into doing skits and stuff.
What are you trying to accomplish showing that? What are you showing, and why is it important?
I think it's like we're just trying to be truthful, and like, you know, it like, I think at first we came at it, before the Poly Couple, we were almost propaganda, and it was like, but then like the more we learned a little bit from the like the comments too, but the more, and then when we did the podcast, and then like just the better you get at telling stories, the more you realize like it's just about telling the truth.
I think it's also just showing like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of when it is propaganda or when it is like an educational channel, they're only showing the right way to do things. And sometimes showing the wrong way to do things will actually make people learn it faster, because they'll see like, oh, that's what I was doing. I see now why it looks wrong. Like, because someone else does it, it becomes really obvious, like when it's right in front of you. So like, as an example with Bonnie and Kara, they weren't really communicating that well. And a lot of times whenever Kara would kind of end the conversation, Bonnie would just go along with it rather than kind of like speaking up for himself a little bit more. And I think when people are bringing up polyamory, they already feel like they're wrong. They already feel, even if they believe they're right and they believe in what they want to do, they just feel kind of wrong, or like that it's wrong of them to bring it up, or that it's wrong of them to want more than monogamy. And I think it's like society that kind of makes people feel that way, that believe in polyamory. Like even though I believed it like wholeheartedly, and it made total sense to me, like from a pretty young age, I didn't bring it up for a very long time. And even when I did, I didn't even really feel confident in it. So like, you know, it just sucks because in a perfect world, someone's going to confidently bring up polyamory and they're going to give all the details, and give all the arguments for why it's a better situation than monogamy. But like in reality, what's going to happen is you're going to bring it up and then you're going to take it back, and then you're going to try to mention it again. Then you're going to, never mind. I'm sorry. I don't want to, no, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. And like, and you're going to end up just like snuffing out your own feelings, not talking about your full opinions. And, you know, you got to kind of see that sometimes and say, okay, I see what he's doing wrong. And I see where I could maybe do it a little bit better.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our Narcity channel to see more great content.